Hi guys, I wanted to pop on real quick, and it will have to be really quick because I have 14 minutes left of room on my phone. Um, it's been a little bit, it's been a couple weeks since I've been here. Um, some things have changed, in my life regarding managing my symptoms and events that affect my long term goals. And I just thought that it was important, and I thought that it might be helpful for my friends to talk about it. If you are a neurodivergent adult, if you're a late diagnosed autistic adult, or if you're suspecting you have autism, if you have ADHD and it is not like the typical ADHD and it's severe enough to impact your ability to work, um, I'd be really interested in discussing this soon. When neurodivergence becomes a disability, because I guess it may not be for everybody, but I've been doing a lot of work with my counselor and myself and reflecting, and pretty much for a solid decade, I haven't really been able to work more than 2 days. And I didn't know what was happening. I just figured it was depression. And I've been reflecting a lot and realizing this has been like this for a long time. So I have been looking at options for what to do about outstanding student loans. And I have been so devastated and like heartbroken, and the guilt, the weight of that guilt, that pressure to get back to working to my ableist, internalized ableist, call it what you will, view. My previous expectations that I held white knuckled it through for years. I'm like, I'm gonna work more. I'm gonna find that job. I kept thinking if I found the right job, I wouldn't be having, which I now know is burnout. And I just had my appointment with my counselor, and I was reflecting some of this stuff with her. And even before I was diagnosed with ADHD, I was having problems. So I thought maybe it had to do with. So when I first was out of nursing school, I was devastated because, my family had to move. So it put just enough stress on me. And I was already struggling because, it had been suspected by teachers that I have a learning disability. Dyslexia runs in my family. And I have pretty severe, at this point, inattentive ADHD that affects my ability to function. There's a lot of shame around that. There's a lot of shame. I've so deeply internalized the pressure to just do it, just push through it. But if I'm being honest with myself, the times that I compare myself to when I was what I would consider really crazy high functioning, like not high functioning as far as like the label for autism, but like the status of my life. Hey, I was able to do it before. How come I can't do it now? Well, I've had stressors in my life that have been higher than they ever have been before, which exasperates your symptoms and challenges. I've had health issues on and off. Oh, my kitty's being so cute. Oh, I didn't do a short for Monday. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, I was reflecting. The first time I went to college, I had no idea I had ADHD. I had a teacher my senior year of college, senior year of high school, pull me aside, an English teacher, and he says, I want to talk to you about something. He saw that I was consistently getting D's in English for a number of years, and I did really well in other subjects, so he suspected I had a learning disability. Hi, baby love. My kitty's bringing me a toy.
Oh, she's so pretty. She brought me the toy. She brought me the toy.
All right. Ready? You ready, girl? You ready, girl? Go get it. We play fetch. Isn't she cute? She will bring the ball Sometimes she brings me the ball in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep. Oh my gosh, last night I had insomnia so bad. I had been pressuring myself this week to make my student loan phone call. And over the last, I can't believe it's been 10 years, I have been underemployed for at least a good decade. I haven't gone to the doctor in at least 5 to 10 years. I haven't been to the dentist in 15 years at least. It was before 2008. So it was 15 into, what's it, 17? I can't count right now. And I kept putting the first, hi.
Oh,
Let me turn this around.
Rennie.
So I keep putting pressure on myself to live up to this image of what I know I'm capable of here, but my body doesn't let me do it. And when I think, like, what if I don't get better? What if this is actually, in my case, an actual disability? And I have been so resistant to that for the last few years, but have been doing like an inventory in my mind the last few days.
oh, it's so beautiful. I know. Go play with your ball.
I can't keep. I'm sorry, baby. Can I talk? It's just for a minute. This isn't going to be 2 hours. I don't have 2 hours. In my case, it is. And I have been so resistant of that. I have basically internally abused myself. Like, not accepting less than forcing myself to do things. Not accepting I'm not capable. And all that had done was pushed me into, like, a collapse last year. I still end up blaming myself. And I was talking to my counselor, and she's like, well, let's look at historical information. Let's look at data. So if you want to be objective as far as if your neurodivergence is to the point where it's affecting your activities of daily living, which is being able to remember to eat, being able to work. So many people who have at least autism, I don't know if people with ADHD only get as affected with their ability to work. At this point, I have been sorting through enough. I still was hesitant to say, yes, I have autism, but it's really looking like that. I was talking to, now I know there's like a lot of people are scared of AI, but for what it is used for, it's exceptional. And it has access to a lot of data. I got off topic. I caught myself. And I went through certain symptoms that I was confused that could potentially be crossover symptoms, like ADHD with these symptoms that seem like autism. Or does this mean I have autism too? This was a few days ago, less than a week. And it was able to tell me, well, this is autism in specific examples and why. And I was like, whoa. Now, I'm not 100% taking that. AI can make mistakes, yada, yada. I'm still going to try to find a place that I can get an autism assessment. None of them take my insurance, which really bothers me because it's a systematic barrier to care. With the bias that, oh, you've made it to adulthood without it getting noticed, you must be functional. No, usually if somebody's highly resistant to the idea, they may have it. In my case, it's taken a year or two to accept the possibility and reflect on what that means and why and how. And if you're high masking, it's highly invisible. So you feel crazy. You feel like it's all in your, like, oh my God, the imposter syndrome is bad. It's bad. Every day I question myself. And my counselor, and this might be helpful for you, she always brings it back to what is historical data, meaning in your history, let's look at these situations in a non-biased way. Well, the first time I went to college, before I even knew I had ADHD, I almost failed outright, and I didn't know why. I couldn't do what the other people did. And then semester by semester, I was cutting back classes until I could find like a sweet spot of what I was able to do. And it ended up being only 1 or 2 classes at a time. Hi, honey bunny. Go get it. Yeah. Yeah. And when I reflected back to when I was working full time and I was doing a phlebotomy degree, and that was school full time. Well, it was online mostly. There was some in class meetings, but then I remembered. Sorry, my hand keeps shaking. Did I eat? I did. Have you had your water today? Let this be a friendly reminder from your ADHD autism friend. If you haven't drinking water today, pause the video and go have some. Or if you need to, put something in it to make it taste good. Iced tea, whatever. Have you taken your pills? If you need them to be a safety net for you and for you to be healthy and well and care for yourself, please, that's an act of self-love. And it's vital. Okay, back to the story. So I was talking with AI about, my mom's been pushing me to just call student loans and just get it over with, but I'm not functionally working. I have now cut back my hours from my burnout last year where I was out for 4 months, only working 2 days a week. How that happens, I still don't get. And from what I understand, when you go into menopause, like one person said, menopause really, if you don't know about this yet and you have ADHD and you're a woman before menopause year, you think you're ready, you have no idea. Well, if that's why I have become basically not functional human being, that could be part of it too. But so when I was talking to, I've only got a couple minutes left. When I was going through these options for student loans, realized there's some other option. I may not ever be able to work to the capacity I used to. There's a lot of shame in that. And I used to sometimes be caretaker for somebody in my life who had a physical disability. So being a caretaker type, and also with your kind of indoctrination into the nursing program, you can never be sick. You can never need help. You're always the one helping. So for me to want to seek options for support for myself, for having a disability, and in this case, it's neurodivergence, and I have 3 mental health diagnoses, which are coexisting. I qualify, and I've paid into taxes for 35 years of working when I have been able to work. When I was honestly reflecting back, this is what I was getting at. I have to go in a minute. The times that I thought I was crazy successful were always followed by a period of burnout for a number of months. And I knew that would happen subconsciously. And I was afraid that I would fail because I would need that to recover. So I would plan it. I would secretly find a way. I wouldn't want anyone to know. But I knew I needed it, or I would fall apart. And I couldn't afford to let that happen again. I have had different times in my life where I've had what I used to consider a mental breakdown, where I became completely disabled because of my depression, not wanting to be here, etc. I think that they were also burnouts and complete shutdowns, overwhelms from, of course, depressing things that were happening in my life that I didn't